Unless one has an affinity for looking ridiculously foolish, it is wise not to stumble aimlessly into a fantasy football draft. The Ultimate Draft Kit from the Fantasy Footballers contains all the information you need to avoid the jeers of your enemies and to snuff out any glint of hope in their souls. Imagine the gasps those trouser-wearing turnips will emit as you make yet another triumphant draft selection. Imagine their tears forming a formidable puddle as you assemble an unstoppable force. The Ultimate Draft Kit comes bursting at the seams with fantasy goodness. When you enter the draft room, you'll feel as if you were a monstrous beast let loose in a chicken coop. Head over to ultimatedraftkit.com today.
Welcome to the Fantasy Footballers Podcast with your hosts, Andy Holloway, Jason Moore, and Mike Wright.
Welcome in. Tuesday.
Oh, it's Training Camp Tuesday, man.
Training Camp Tuesday.
Ooh, it's a good sound.
July 22nd. The year is 2025, and here we are, the Fantasy Footballers Podcast. Mike, the Fantasy Hitman, is here. Jason Moore.
Present.
Accounted for.
Mike has created a company Slack channel
That's right.
just for training camp highlight videos.
We've always had the issue of,
Did I get invited?
I mean, I posted it in the general chat, and I said I made this.
Oh, we got to join it.
Everyone's invited.
We got to join it.
Where look, we like training camp highlights just like everybody else does. We try to, be rational unless the priors are being confirmed.
Right. Yeah.
Huge. Off to a great start.
In half of them.
Yeah, well, that's what he does. But we never were like, I never knew where to share them because it was like I'm taking over certain channels that are meant for specific discussion. I'm like, hey, check out this training camp highlight.
I am now a member of Camp Highlights.
Yeah, it's going to be great.
Because we're there.
And so many are outlandishly stupid. Like, that people are posting a video of like
They're not stupid because I watched
someone. Well, I know that's what's silly is like
it's more the analysis of them. I'm happy to watch anything that happens at training camp. It could be the most basic, pitch and catch in the world, but when the commentary is like,
was it the Jameson Williams one?
Yeah, where Jameson Williams like,
he's been working on his route
running on the route tree. Oh, he just caught a pass.
Yeah, he just like literally turned around and got a pass like you were like playing with your dad at a field.
Yeah, it's great.
Oh,
we're so excited for football that everything gets amplified this time of year. So it'll be really fun. We've got our final 2 divisional breakdown episodes today and Thursday. So NFC East today, NFC West on Thursday, and then we'll be through all of them. That way we can offend almost every fan base over the course of 8 shows.
It's really the number one priority.
We want to make sure everybody just feels like
we put in work. We sit down at these team meetings and say, okay, who are we talking about today, and how can we make their fans really unhappy?
I was going to say, I guess technically 8 fan bases like us if we pick them to win the division.
Okay.
And then the remaining, whatever that is, 24 teams, you can hate us for the year.
Sometimes, because sometimes you try to say positive things, like even pick them to win a division that people are like, why do you hate this team?
Yeah, it's fun.
I don't think the Eagles fans are going to be mad at us today. I'm going to take a guess.
Or will they?
Stay tuned.
They could be. I mean, there's good teams in that division. So NFC East today, mailbag if we have time for it. We'll get into some NFL news. Some things have happened. We'll catch you up on that. And as you heard at the top, the Ultimate Draft Kit is available right now. If you want to dominate your 2025 fantasy drafts, it's available, ultimatedraftkit.com. The UDK Plus comes with the Draft Analyzer, which you can import your team from any platform and get a grade as well as all of your league mates' teams graded and compare your team to theirs. And there's a ton of resources you can learn more about at ultimatedraftkit.com. We'll jump right into the news.
News and notes from around the league.
We already talked about Mike Williams retiring, right? Was that on the last episode?
Yes.
Maybe.
Probably, because I think that's when you became Cuge's biggest fan, potentially, Mike.
Oh, yeah.
I just want to make sure that was brought up. Nobody has given me any. They have forgotten that show. Okay, we got one person nodding. Yeah, we did talk about Mike Williams.
I said yeah. I said yes.
You weren't in the left side of my view. You're in the right side of my view. Sorry.
Also, you're not really an authority on what we talked about during the last show.
Absolutely. That is very true.
Well, here's some other news. The Seahawks have released Noah Fant. This was a money-saving move.
It's a moneymaker for Seattle, yes.
So they saved $9 million against the cap. They had a 4th-round draft pick, A.J. Barner, out of Michigan last year, which he did have a handful of good games, produced on lower snap counts, better numbers than what Fant was doing. And then the big move, they have a 22-year-old potential future star in Elijah Arroyo out of Miami that has shown enough, I think, in rookie practices to where the team felt comfortable with those two youngsters to save the money on Noah Fant. And
yeah, I saw this as when the move was announced that they were releasing Fant, I took it as a feather in the cap of Elijah Arroyo. That they must have had this in the back of their mind when they took Arroyo and saying like, we're planning for the future. Fant isn't our future, and maybe if it turns out he's doing enough, we can let go of him now. He was the 50th overall selection in this year's draft, so you've got good draft capital.
But he was a big riser at the Senior Bowl this year.
Yeah, so he spent a couple of years with knee injuries. And so if you watch the draft day or the post-draft press conference, obviously the GMs are always going to tout up the guys that they just drafted. They obviously like him, but they were saying they felt like this was a guy who would have been a top 15 talent if he wasn't injured.
I don't know what I trust out of Seattle. I think nothing based on their
I trust
Geno
all
Smith,
the Ken Walker stuff.
the Geno Smith comments mixed with the Darnold comments at the time. But you're always going to spin things the right way. But this is confidence boost for Arroyo.
Did you guys like Arroyo? I didn't really like his film personally.
I think Barner is a more complete tight end. I think Barner will be. I think if you look at the end of the year, who has more snaps in the offense? I think Barner will have more snaps. I think Arroyo will have more production. I think he's the wide receiver-esque type of athletic, big play. But Barner may see more snaps on a week-to-week basis.
If you look at like NFL.com's draft profile of A.J. Barner, the first synopsis is good inline blocker, not going to be a pass catcher. Although he did some last year as a rookie.
Wild to see Elijah Arroyo. So 50th, second-round pick, 4 years of college, and he amassed 46 receptions.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But that was the 2 missed years, and then most of his production. Like if you look, so AJ Barner had more receptions in college than Arroyo. However, those were spread out. Like I don't think AJ Barner ever had 250 yards in a season. He wasn't really a pass catcher. The last season for Arroyo was like his breakout, where he had a 73-yard touchdown, a 40-yard touchdown,
35 for 590 and 7. I mean that for a college tight end, that's not too bad.
All right, well, that's the new lay of the land at tight end in Seattle. We have a handful of players placed on the PUP list to begin training camp, including Brandon Ayuk, recovering from ACL, MCL, Ricky Pearsall, with another hamstring issue.
It doesn't sound as gloom and doom, the Ricky Pearsall stuff, at least from what I'm hearing, that he could make his way off of the pup. And this is training camp pup, so you can get pulled off it at any moment as soon as you're ready to go. But hamstring injuries, if you stick around the show, we will be talking about them because they will pop up. And when those happen in training camp, it is usually a really, really big red flag.
There are players that don't need camp as much as other players. To me, Pearsall would have been one you'd love to see get every single possible snap to try to establish himself. So it's disappointing to me that he's starting out on PUP. And this wide receiver core has been has just been through it injury-wise for years now. But Juwan Jennings has a lot of leverage at the moment.
He does.
So no Debo, no Ayuk, no Pearsall as of right now. Christian Watson, Packers wideout, is going to start on the PUP as well.
That's fully expected.
But Stephon Diggs is not.
Okay.
Stephon Diggs of the Patriots.
Yep. Okay.
Which adds a little fuel to the – he seems like he can play football fire.
I'm not a doctor, but I don't understand how he's not out there week 1.
That's where I'm at too. That's where I'm at right now. Chris Godwin will not participate in team activities when camp begins, continuing rehab, had an ankle fracture and dislocation in week 7, signed the big contract, usually a 6 to 9 month recovery and a ramp up. We know his recovery from the ACL a couple years ago was slow and not what we wanted. So
you mentioned recently when we were going through the Buccaneers that Chris Godwin is off your board.
You were choked up. You were sad.
You
were really sad about that.
I was moved by your.
Based on the price of Chris Godwin in the draft.
Yeah.
Yes, I was. I did not like it. I did not like that situation because his little burst of hyper productivity came under a different offensive coordinator in a small amount of time.
I moved Egbuka up.
Okay.
Off of this, not out of control, but Egbuka is. He's so interesting. This was of a prospect out of Ohio State. Look, when a wide receiver comes from Ohio or from LSU, I'm going to pay more attention to that player just because of the history of success of those guys. But a first-round pick for a team that didn't seemingly need to do that, this was like that felt like this is the best guy on our board, so we're just going to take him. So I just make sure we don't leave him for nothing in the draft.
And then Will Levis undergoing season-ending shoulder surgery. Mike, did you not know this?
I did, and
it's quite the laugh for an injury.
I am not laughing at Will Levis being hurt. I am laughing at the timing of this. Just it's a little strange, guys. When a team like that, we got the number 1 overall pick. It's a quarterback, and then you're the backup. You are not getting in. You're just like, I'm going to recover and focus on next year. Make sure you pay me while I'm recovering and rehabbing. But don't worry about it. I'll see you guys next year.
Yeah, he's
that's what's funny.
He's going to be out, and if Cam Ward misses time, you will not have Will Levis coming in behind him. Any other news that has come through, Jason? Anything you want to talk about?
Yeah, there was just more smoke to the Terry McLaurin situation, saying that he is willing to. All options are on the table, whether he holds in, holds out, or requests a trade. Like he won't. He's not going to be playing football without a new contract.
He did say he does not want to break the team up. He wants to bring them back together with a contract.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to break the news that Mike now has the toilet trophy.
Oh, that's great news.
I thought that was going to be the breaking news.
I do.
This
the rules seem to have been skimped on a little bit.
We were all ready to record, sitting here with a time, and everyone's sitting here ready to go.
Jason's had this trophy for so long.
And we couldn't push that button.
Yeah, no.
Because you was on a toilet.
Yeah, that part is true.
Boom, toilet trophy.
Just saying that be careful. The games that you choose to play, I will play them.
I want you to play them, man. I want you to.
I want out of this. I don't want anything to do with this.
Our work environment is going to be just a nightmare. We're going to be sitting in the set ready to go at all times.
Tell you what, the pressure for me, I might just hold on to this bad dog because sometimes we come up to the end of the show and we're like, let's speed this up. I'm just going to leave. Let's be like,
you got no pressure.
I'm going to go, time out, guys. Why don't you sit here, wait a good 15 minutes.
Mike's he's a little fiery already.
Because I have nothing to lose at this point.
That's too much pride in the toilet trophy.
No, it's power.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, you two are.
I'll be rid of this by the end of the week.
Yeah, we'll see. The Deucers have been supplementing with different drugs.
Yeah.
Guaranteeing that they don't receive that toilet trophy.
Be careful what you eat this week, guys.
Oh, boy. All right, let's jump right in.
Let's get divisional.
All right, if you have not tuned in, a reminder, we're looking at off-season changes in upgrades, downgrades, player-wise, rookies, coaches. We're looking at team offenses, how they could function, and give our takes at the end here, who we think is going to win the division. Jason made the very presumptive, like, well, all Eagles fans are going to be happy. We're just going to pick you to win the division.
Yeah, we are.
But that's Jason's the chalk guy, so that makes sense. The Eagles.
Yes. Just so you know, by the end of this episode, I will be the only one picking the Eagles to win the division. You're right.
The Eagles
Andy.
were 14-3. The Commanders 12-5.
Fiery today.
And Dallas was 7-10 last year. The Giants 3-14. There's a 302-point differential from first to fourth, and that's a lot.
Yep.
But things change year over year, and we'll start with Philadelphia. The odds going into last year, very tight between Philadelphia and Dallas. Philly was plus 100. Dallas was plus 150. The Commanders way down at plus 800, and the Giants at the bottom. So, the Eagles 14-3 won a Super Bowl, 8-2 in one-score games. Their win total going into last year was 10.5. Vegas gave them that. They won 14 this year. It's at 11.5. According to our friend Warren Sharp, they have the fourth hardest schedule for 2025. But, it was their year. They're the champs. You guys saw the new rings that they got, the championship rings?
Those things are absurd. Like
Are you worried that they're going to break? Those little wings come out and
it did feel.
You push a button and some wings pop out of the ring.
The little wing pop out felt cheap.
Oh yeah, like a gadget,
like a gimmick on a
something you'd
Super
find in a
Bowl ring.
cereal box.
Yeah.
I thought they were kind of cool.
Okay. I mean,
the
I would
rings
take
are not.
one.
They're so close to not rings. You know what I mean? They're so humongous.
Yeah, they're borderline helmets that
Right. They're
go
just
on the
gigantic. But yeah, that's enough ammo for the Eagles fans to hate us that we kind of talked about the rings negatively. But last year, 5th in points per game, 8th in total yards per game. But the defense, the defense was number 1 in total yards given up in terms of they gave up the least. And the gap between what they gave up and the second place team was the largest gap in the last decade. So Houston was number 2 in total yards given up. But Philly was number 1, and it really, their defense
they're so good.
It just solidified. It wasn't that way at the very, very beginning of the year, but it happened really quickly. They invested in young corners and secondary pieces, and they just really dictated terms the rest of the way, all the way into the Super Bowl.
Yeah, they got 2 incredible rookie secondary members that took them to the Super Bowl. So obviously they got better as time went on, and you would think that their defense could even get better this year going into year 2 for those players. I think the Eagles have the best roster on both sides of the ball of the entire NFL personally, and I love that they have a hard strength of schedule, because one of the most frustrating things last year with this great team, especially down the stretch, was that from the passing game, you'd get a half. If you had Jalen Hurts, if you had A.J. Brown or Devontae Smith, it was like you get off to a strong start. You feel like, I'm going to crush this week, and then it was just Saquon the whole second half because they had a 160-point differential this last year. So I'm hoping they're in a little bit more difficult games, other teams that can keep up with them. Obviously Dallas, if Dak is there, that will be helpful to not have to play, Dak-less football twice a year. They play Kansas City this year, so they've got some teams that I think can score on them.
They were, just to kind of put numbers around that, Jay, they were the number 1 rushing team in terms of rushing percentage and dead last in passing. So from and you love their defense. I love their defense. They're number 1 in the UDK. Their defense is number 1 for me, and that does. We've had this conversation with several teams that have good defenses, whether it's Detroit getting injured players back, although they just lost a defensive tackle for the year.
The Chiefs.
Yeah, like when you have that situation that you can win on defense and by running the football, which, look, the Chiefs, they can't necessarily win by running the football. Sometimes they run through the air. They're running back pieces. It's not Saquon. Right now, going into the season, they just won a Super Bowl with this recipe. And this recipe should be what they're doing in the future. Yes, they replaced their offensive coordinator, but Patullo wants to do the exact same thing. He's been with Sirianni for years. if I'm Philadelphia, I am certainly not changing what I'm doing on offense unless I'm forced to do it, which is what you're saying with some of the schedule stuff. But at the same time, predictability-wise, I'm going in expecting a heavy dose of Saquon, tush push, picking my spots in the passing game when I need them. And so that's kind of the gamble with A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith, and Jalen Hurts in general is the wide receiver utilization when you pass the least in football. It's not as attractive in drafts.
Correct.
Like Devonta Smith's kind of more attractive because the value on him seems to be there. But A.J. Brown's the one that's harder for people to move up into the upper echelon and give him his, like, as a talent, he belongs in the same conversation with Amon-Ra and these guys. But as a piece of this offense, the volume, it does make you hesitate at times.
It does. Where he's being drafted, like I don't blame anyone for where he's going in the draft. He is usually like that next best wide receiver off the board, but you can see the path for what happened down the stretch where you just have a lot of disappearing games, and obviously his talent.
We got numbers there from Rich Rebar, 2.5 targets per game in the second half of seasons.
Dude, that's exactly. Come on, other teams, be better.
But 5 in the first half, which was like 5th. So his first half target's great. Second half, you don't need to. 32 total targets in the second half. Malik Neighbors, who was trailing in almost every game, 98.
I will say this. I would rather have a player who is part of the reason they don't need to pass in the second half.
Yeah.
You know, it's like a lot of times in former years, I should say, we don't do this that much anymore as an industry, but it used to be like, oh, you want the garbage time, or, you know, you think that garbage time players are bad, but it's like if your team is scoring points to get to the point where you're doing this, then, yeah, maybe A.J. Brown had 100 and a touchdown in the first half, and you're disappointed in the second half that you didn't get more, but he's a great player. And then obviously if with either of these guys, with A.J. Brown, with Devonta Smith, if either one go down to an injury, the other becomes so valuable.
They, they were in the Super Bowl 2 years ago and 14-3 that season as well. They had a little bit of a regression into second place in the East, 11-6, lost in the wild card. You know, the teams are going to have that game circled, everyone on their calendars. So in that regard, you know, what they did last year was like a historically low pass rate.
Yes.
It was like the third lowest in the last 10 years. So at least you could expect it to flip a little bit. Also, that comes part and parcel with they were very fortunate injury-wise last year. Like Saquon Barkley.
Super Bowl winners generally are.
I mean, Super Bowl Barkley had 378 carries in the regular season and 104 more in the playoffs.
So I think that's the question now is what are you doing with Saquon Barkley? And no, this is not a bypassing Barkley by any means. This is let's say you're at the 102 and Jamar Chase goes off. Like, are you actively seeking Saquon Barkley, or are you just when you're slotted for him because he's right now is at the 103, but some people want Bijan and some people want Barkley. If you have the choice between the two of them, is it a definitive I'm going Bijan or I'm going Saquon Barkley?
For me, it's a definitive a definitive Bijan.
Well, that's because
because he's
Superman.
He can't get injured this coming season. But the workload of Saquon is both awesome and awful. It's what you dream of for fantasy, and if he can handle that another year in a row, then he should be the first running back picked.
The numbers say. Sorry, did you want to add something?
I was just going to say, but when you have that level of volume, the chances that you're going to play a full season the next year is it goes down, especially for an older running back. It's not like he's a 24-year-old back coming off of 350 carries. This is he's 28.
He's 28 and a half.
So historically speaking, since 2020, 10 running backs have seen 330 or more touches in a season. Saquon saw 378. All saw a decrease of at least 45 or more touches the following year, and only 2 played a full season. So 2 of the 10 played a full season. So that's what you have. Look, it's really, this is what makes draft season so difficult, because you always have to come face-to-face with what you should do based on last year and taking a leap on what you expect to happen this year. Bijan is my number one. I would take him. But it's not going to feel cozy. Like, bypassing Saquon will not feel good.
That's what I mean. Of
Because
like, are you
you
just
are
taking him
only-
when you're slotted?
There's just no way that you don't feel like you could be missing out on what he did last year, which you could be. You absolutely could be. So
Which is what, 2,000 rushing yards?
Yeah, and he could have broken the
now,
record.
is this you petitioning the crowd for your 101 in our League of Record draft?
What?
Where you have Saquon,
Oh, that's
Barkley,
right. You have to
and
make this
Bijan
decision.
I do. I mean, thankfully, I have my number one running back already as one of my keepers.
which is
Christian
McCaffrey.
McCaffrey.
Okay.
So
Now-
I don't
now
have
it
to
all
decide who the
makes
number
sense.
one is, but then I have to figure out who the number
You're really
two
gonna
is.
you get to throw CMC and one of those two guys on your team.
Yeah.
I will say, based on
Should trade for the 102 and get all three.
based on this specific conversation, end of drafts, personally, I am targeting Will Shipley. That appears to be the primary backup. Like Kenneth Gainwell is gone.
You think it'll be
I think it'll be Will Shipley
over
A.J.
Dillon?
Beat reporters right now are saying A.J. Dillon's not even a lock to make the roster, and
Okay.
if he is on the roster, I think that he's going to be more of a specialist. So,
By the way, both times McCaffrey was the number one quarterback. He was injured the following year.
Running back.
Yeah, running back.
Yep.
In his two adventures to the tippy top.
Yeah, the Will Shipley versus A.J. Dillon, that's tough for me. I liked Will Shipley, the prospect, but 5'11", 209, fourth-round pick. I don't know. I'm not sure how that will actually shake out.
He had a nice long playoff run. Is that worth something?
Nope.
All right, so we've talked about the wideouts. We've talked about the running back situation. Laid it out there. I mean, Saquon was unbelievable. The offensive line is still number one in the league. So everything's in front of him. If he stays healthy, he should be insanely productive. And it's, I'm not actively trying to avoid him by any means. It's just, like, I'd take Saquon over Gibbs.
me too.
Like, that's happening. So he's just a 1-2 decision. Jalen Hurts right now going as the QB4 in the 4th round.
Which I think is decent value. To me, I look at Lamar as the number one quarterback, and then Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts, and even Jaden Daniels to me are all about the same.
Dallas Goedert is still on the team.
Somehow, some way.
And they start the year Dallas, at home against Dallas. That's fun.
Yeah.
Then at Kansas City, then the Rams, then Tampa. That is 4 brutal.
4th hardest schedule on the entire season, so
Yeah,
that makes sense.
3 division winners and then Dallas.
That's what you want. That's what you want when you're this good of a team. You need teams that can challenge them.
So right now they are the favorites to repeat as NFC champions and slightly behind the Bills and my pick, the Ravens, for the Super Bowl. All right, we'll take a break and talk Commanders. All right, back into our NFC East divisional breakdown. The Washington Commanders were the surprise story of the last season. 8 more games than they had won in 2023. They went into the year projected to win 6.5. They won 12. It's the second largest year-to-year jump over the last decade. But only one of the 12 regular season wins came against a playoff team. And we've kind of talked about the fact that they had a really juicy schedule. It was a nice situation for
Last year.
year for the Commanders to, for Jaden Daniels to have his coming out party. It was a nice schedule for that. In fact, if you remember, like they beat Cincinnati and Burrow in week 3. Like that was one of their big games when Jaden Daniels kind of center staged it. And they were 8-4 in 1-score games. They're middle of the pack in schedule difficulty this year, 14th hardest. I think this team is really, really interesting to talk about in general because, we all love Jaden Daniels.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually think Jaden Daniels is appropriately priced in fantasy, despite the fact he is being drafted higher than any other sophomore quarterback in history. But if you look at the names, if you want to talk about what's happened with these rookie quarterbacks that have had breakout campaigns and then you go into that sophomore season, our most recent history is frustration with C.J. Stroud. But you go back years before, and if you don't, if you're not looking at like injuries, Kyler Murray jumped from number 5 to number 2, Herbert from 7 to 2, Lamar Jackson from 11 to 1, Jalen Hurts from 12 to 9. Like, it was a better than where you drafted them outcome for the guys that you truly believe to be special difference makers who ran the football.
Mm-hmm.
Those guys could run. And so, to me, I don't have any problem with him priced as the QB3 at 305 because he's one of the few that could be number 1.
Yeah, to me, that whole group that I just mentioned with Jalen Hurts, I could take him in any order. So, Burrow is interesting because he's not a mobile rushing quarterback. Last year, Jaden Daniels had a very special year on an extremely easy schedule. And so he finished as the quarterback 5. So now you're expecting, when you're drafting him as the 3rd, you are expecting him to go north. But I think the best comp there, and this was a comp we talked about going into rookie year, is Kyler Murray. He's playing with the same head coach or the offensive coach that Kyler had in his rookie season and his sophomore season. So a jump up, totally not going to be surprising.
I will point out that while the regular season schedule was easy, they did win 2 road playoff games. Like, they beat Tampa, where Jay Daniels was 268-2, 36 yards on the ground. They beat Detroit on the road, 299-2, 51 yards on the ground. Kind of got, if you remember the final score of the Philadelphia game that turned into a shellacking.
Well,
but Jaden was like, I think he really is the truth.
And I want to point out something I've mentioned probably a couple months ago. From the midpoint of the season, this passing offense, Jaden Daniels' passing numbers, he was on pace for 4,000 passing yards and 36 passing touchdowns. So if and it makes sense that it would have come along a little slower on that front when he has the tools that he has in the running game. He's just a very, very capable. He was the number 1 overall quarterback on a week they played Philadelphia in that defense that we just talked about.
That's the argument for why you would take him over Jalen Hurts, even over Josh Allen. Like, these guys, what Jalen Hurts is. Jalen Hurts is going to be a top 5 quarterback unless he's injured. He's going to be very consistent, but he's not going to go out there and absolutely be the one where at the end of the year you go, oh, I had the 2025 Jalen Hurts. So obviously I was one of the people that just won the championship. Like a couple years ago when Christian McCaffrey was in 50% of all, Lamar Jackson can do that. And that's what you're hoping here with Jaden Daniels, is that you just haven't even seen his true upside. So if you're taking an early quarterback, I think that's why you're saying you don't have any problem with taking him as the quarterback 3, because there is a chance that he is a runaway quarterback 1.
Yes.
Ahead of everyone.
Unless Terry McLaurin doesn't play.
Right.
If Terry McLaurin is removed from the equation, which right now, look, I expect them to figure that out. I really do. They
can't afford not to.
This is not the Snyder Commanders anymore. This is a different organization. I can't imagine the momentum that they have that they don't get Terry McLaurin, a leader in the locker room, on the field. But it's not right now, and at some point you will worry about it. I'm not worried about it on July 22nd, but eventually I will be.
Yeah.
And that's a variable in place for Jaden Daniels that isn't there for somebody else. But, they added Debo to the offense. I mean, that was the big offseason offensive addition. So if you do have McLaurin back and you add Debo and you still brought back Ertz and you have, go ahead, the Senator, Ben Sinnott at tight end, available if needed. And you've got really talented pass-catching running back in Austin Eckler and capable running back Brian Robinson.
I thought you were pointing at me for Eckler.
Would you like me to?
Well, thank you for pointing.
Yes.
So it's now my turn to talk. There are certain teams you attack who are not having their running backs drafted in the top 24. These are the real ambiguous. They're often unsexy picks, but this is a team that's going to score so many points. I mean, where were they in? They were 6th in points per game last year, and
5th in yards, and they only passed the ball. They did not pass it over the course of the season very much. They were like the 5th lowest.
And you have Brian Robinson Jr. going in like outside of the top 30 running backs, and he had 42 carries inside the 20. You have Austin Eckler, who, he's old. He's 30 years old for a running back that is very old. However, among running backs with 100 or more touches, he led all of them in yards per touch. Like, he still had some juice, especially in the receiving game. So if I have multiple leagues, I'm taking multiple chances on this backfield. Some teams I'll take Robinson, and the other ones I'll wait on Eckler. I think if I only am taking one, I think Eckler's the guy I want to take the chance on, just in case of the defense is a little bit worse, and this offense has to put up points, and they're going to get Eckler on the field. But both of them are worthy picks at their ADP. With
the exception of, I would prefer to have the 26-year-old, touchdown. I would rather have Brian Robinson than over Eckler. That being said, I completely echo everything you're saying. Like, everybody should be taking one of these.
You Eckler it?
Yeah, it was popping into my head. I just let it go.
You should be taking one of these guys they don't cost you much.
Yeah.
And every year you want to
round
their
pick.
price wouldn't be this price if they weren't both on this team either. It's like a combination of, feeling a little bit like it's a couple of unsexy players, but they're on a really talented offense.
I mean, Brian Robinson finished as the running back 29 last year, missed a handful of games. He's being drafted outside of that.
Yeah.
So
42 carries inside the 20, same as Chuba Hubbard.
And
7
Eckler,
touchdowns inside the 10, same as Jonathan Taylor.
And remember, Cliff Kingsbury knows one play. When you get down at that goal line, it's like middle. Run up the middle. That's not going to be Austin Eckler. That's going to be Brian Robinson.
Like, Eckler's game log, I mean, it seemed like things were really starting to get moving, and then he missed an entire month there towards the end of the year. So that's a danger of him being a 30-year-old running back, but both of those guys are fascinating at ADP.
7, 4, 5, 5, 4.
Those are numbers.
Those are the touchdown numbers of Terry McLaurin before last season. 13 was what he put up with Jaden Daniels. We
need more volume, though.
Do we worry? I mean, we brought it up, but this is your team overview. McLaurin's one of the most obvious regression candidates when it comes to total touchdowns. So if he doesn't get more volume, if he's there and he doesn't get more volume, 13's a tough number to match, especially just his, adding Debo to the offense and everything. So
McLaurin is one of 10 wide receivers since 2000 with 13 or more receiving touchdowns with fewer than 125 targets. That's what we're talking about. We need more volume. The list of guys that you have the next season data on, there's 1 year where Mike Evans improved in touchdowns the next year. Everybody else lost touchdowns, and a lot of them like a catastrophic amount of touchdowns.
If you had to lock Debo or Eckler into your flex for the season in this offense,
oh man,
would you lock in 8th-round pick Debo Samuel?
I would go with Eckler. Debo is so difficult. Watching him last year was difficult. So that's where I'm concerned of, is Debo, are we done? Like,
career lows in yards after the catch.
Can he get back to anything that he was? Because he was a special player because of his yards after catch, and he wasn't out there just the tactician roasting people, making defenders fall over. He's just like, you can't tackle me because I'm Debo. But if that superpower is gone, which the 49ers at least exactly. I mean, the 49ers were like, he's not worth it.
Yeah, and
he kind of got phased out of the offense too.
When those big-bodied, hulking wide receivers who are dominant and great when they hit that wall, Andre Johnson was the best wide receiver in football.
Yeah.
And then the next year is like, oh, he lost a step, and he's not good anymore.
Anquan didn't. Anquan Bolden forever.
Oh, Anquan Bolden. I mean, that is the comp for Debo. That's a real man. So where do you stand on that? Would you rather
Debo just doesn't feel like a wide receiver that will be on any of my teams in any situation. I just don't see the upside. They don't pass it enough.
Yeah, I was going to say the volume. The volume's not going to be there for him. And honestly, I feel like Terry McLaurin's not going to be on a lot of my teams simply because the touchdown
Good
stuff.
Lord, the game log for Debo is so much worse than I remember. Oh,
a lot of red.
How about this? Okay, so after their bye week, week 9, week 10. 10 fantasy points. That's pretty good.
That's okay.
4, 2.5, 2, 4.5, 3.5. Huge game against Miami. And these are like he's playing in all of these games. Oh man. No, I'm with you, Andy. I don't.
You know what?
I just don't.
Unless you're in a league
why
that
wouldn't I want to take something with higher upside in the 8th round? That's all I'm saying.
If your league is just like we're not really interested in Debo and he's dropping to into a double-digit round, okay, I'll take a chance. But
what's
very hesitant.
Funny about Terry McLaurin, he was an A in consistency, but he was so freaking lucky last year. Like the touchdowns, we know that was a large percentage of his fantasy points, but they just happened to come in the weirdest ways. Like he would have a game with 125 yards, no touchdowns. So it was a good fantasy game. Then he'd have a game with 19 yards, 2 touchdowns. Like all of his touchdowns came in these like small yardage games. So he looks really consistent. But actually, if you look at like the volume and the yardage, just yardage, he was not very consistent. So I worry about both of these guys where they're being drafted, despite liking the offense.
Yeah, it sucks because it always feels when you're in the draft, it feels disrespectful to Terry McLaurin for what he did.
Yeah,
but this is fantasy realities versus NFL realities. Like this team is not going to succeed without him. But for fantasy purposes, it's really hard.
Your fantasy team can.
Yeah, your fantasy team can. So. Dallas was 7-10. It was a hugely disappointing season overall. They were projected to win 10 games. They won 7. They had the worst point differential by a Cowboys team since 1989. And yeah, their Dak.
That's a while.
Their Dak was gone.
Yeah.
Oh,
no Dak.
Oh boy,
that's gonna hurt. I mean,
Boston.
2 years ago when we were doing this show last year. You talked about it with the Eagles at the top of this segment, but it was anybody's division. The Eagles and the Cowboys were seen as just a coin flip. And I feel like we are not giving the Cowboys enough credit simply because we saw how bad they were without their quarterback last year. But I mean, that's
without looking, do you know their win totals? I'd love to know if you could just guess them.
I would guess
for 2025 Dallas win total.
9.5 would be my guess.
I'll go 8.5.
Yeah, you're both wrong.
Ooh, we too low?
You're too high.
What?
Ooh.
Unless this has been changed, it's 7.5 is what I have.
Kyle, is that right? 7.5.
7.5.
They won 7 games last year.
This is
as a starter, a full-time starter, Dak was 3-4 last year.
And this is a team that look, you look at the offseason additions, they don't impress you. George Pickens, yeah. Okay, cool.
That one I like.
You added George Pickens.
Needed him.
Then you added Javonte Williams and Miles Sanders. Okay, all right. Well, neat.
But that makes me, for fantasy, that makes me love these wide receivers.
If I'm Vegas and I'm looking at this and I want to justify 7.5 and why I got there, it's you got a new head coach, Brian Schottenheimer, never been a head coach.
Mm-hmm.
You've got Dak, who is frequently injured, right? It's happened. You've got a defense that regressed massively. They were terrible. They were one of the worst in the league.
You lost Zach Martin.
And you lost Zach Martin. And now you have a division that suddenly, hello, Jaden Daniels, future, perennial MVP candidate potentially. Washington, the 112 games. Like, you got to face Philly twice and Washington twice in this division. Like, it's just, I can see it. I understand it. Like, we
got Jerry Jones taking pot shots at Micah Parsons.
Well, Jerry Jones is very old, Mike.
I know, but this
very, very.
But I have to bring it up because it was so incredible. They're talking about re-signing him, and he's like, "Well, even if we sign him, I don't know if we're going to have him
because of indict the injuries."
Yeah, because he got hurt, and then we got hold on. Then we got a J.J. Watt tweet.
Oh yeah,
who said just J.J. Watt. Anytime you can publicly take a dig at your star quarterback and your star pass rusher simultaneously right before the season begins, you got to take it. Nothing makes guys want to fight for you more than hearing how upset you are that they got hurt while fighting for you.
Look,
that got retweeted by somebody.
Yeah, that was the story. That got retweeted by Micah Parsons.
Oh, man. Look, I think Parsons will get his contract, but it's every single year. Every year we do this with Jerry Jones and timing things.
I do not like Dallas with Dak better than Washington. I do not like Dallas with Dak better than Philadelphia. And then you're like, what does the third place team in this division finish with? And it's not that Dallas can't bounce back, but sometimes ships have sailed with the situation that you're in. They're not going to compete with a defense that is 31st in points per game allowed and 28th in total yards, nor should they have that same defense. But
I would agree completely from an NFL standpoint.
Yeah,
right? But from a fantasy football standpoint,
it's great with
this
Dak
is awesome. This is what you want. You want a bad defense. I'm so glad that the Cowboys defense isn't this juggernaut it used to be. And I love that, it's like we could have enjoyed the fantasy goodness of the running game. I still bypass, like, every ADP time I'm looking at Javonte Williams, I'm like, nah. And you really we should be taking shots on him.
Yes,
because right now the other guys there, the backups, the rookies, they're not getting any mention. So I think Javonte is going to do what he did last year, which is get a ton of work as the lead for his team, but probably not be that great. But the nice thing is that means that Dak is going to have to throw the ball a ton. CeeDee Lamb should be back to being in the running for wide receiver 1 this year. And George, I think there's a chance George is one of the best picks in fantasy this year.
I do too.
I just feel like the Dallas Cowboys compared to other teams are much more of a house of cards. That, we've had times we've talked about Matthew Stafford with the Rams, how much hinges on his health. You have an offensive line that's 23rd going into the season, ranked 23. By the way, that's up from where they finished, which was 25. And no running game. So no running game, no offensive line, and Dak's supposed to be your savior. I'm not sure the team doesn't want to move on from Dak. Like, this could fall apart quick is what I'm saying. This could you got a potential like one and done head coach. Like Dallas, this could be one of the most disappointing situations in fantasy from a amount of resources that you actually have to lean on.
For fantasy?
Yes, for fantasy.
Yeah,
because if you look, it's great to think like Dak's success came on the back of a good offensive line and a good defense, like being able to compete. Like, I know that, like, is Dak going to be the Matt Ryan? Like how is the offense going to give the ball to the running game if they're trailing, and how is he going to have success without an offensive line on a consistent basis?
I don't think necessarily that the Cowboys are going to have success from a wins and loss standpoint.
Well,
but I think
but the offensive line matters to Dak staying healthy.
Sure, obviously, okay. If Dak goes down, CeeDee Lamb's not going to be the wide receiver 1. But Dak went down last year, and CeeDee Lamb I don't have it in front of me. What was he, like, the wide receiver 8?
He was still a very good year.
He was still fantastic. So I'm just not worried about a guy who's going to get 170 targets. And let's just
I
say
did not
that
say
Dak
I was worried
doesn't.
about CeeDee Lamb. I was saying that I think you're going to be disappointed. You could be disappointed with everybody else on the entire team. Dak, George, running game, defense.
I'm very in on Dak and the two wideouts. And Andy, just to bring it up, of the because you know how Jerry Jones so good at doing contracts. They're not getting rid of Dak anytime soon. Unless they want to carry $130 million dead cap, a $56 million dead cap. If you go to 2028, don't worry. We're down to 32. Like this, they're stuck here because of how they treated his contract.
Obviously, an injury means they move on. But right now he's not injured. So I like, for fantasy, the receiving game. I really do. And I like Dak because I do think that the other teams in this division are going to score a lot of points.
What's the opening schedule? I mean, Philly's week 1, and then who do we got?
In Philly, then the Giants, then at Chicago, then Green Bay.
Oh, I mean,
it's mid. I mean, that's okay. I do not think Dallas is going to have a good year. Whatever that means for fantasy is up for interpretation. But I don't think that Dak's success is going to translate to them having a lot of success on the field because they don't have the pieces. Ferguson was somebody people were looking forward to. The tight end situation's a question mark. He was number 1 in red zone targets. Dak got hurt. Maybe he can bounce back.
I think Ferguson should bounce back. He's going in the 10th, not even a top 12 drafted tight end, because last year was pretty disastrous. But, I mean, over the first month, you had Ferguson got hurt week 1, and then he came back. He was tight end 3, 9, 10. And then the team kind of imploded.
He's as mad as it gets. And I think the fact that there's a legit wide receiver 2 now will take some away from
It could.
We did see a lot of Dak last year, right?
Yeah, we saw 7 full games.
So we saw 7 games. He was good for fantasy in 3. Was that fair?
Yep.
And then CD in that stretch was okay, but not amazing. I mean,
I really think the holdout for CeeDee Lamb
pretty good.
affected
Pretty good.
stuff
And
for him being his top tier.
Look, I'm just trying to illuminate the other side. I don't.
Sure.
Everything that has. Let me be clear. When Dak has been healthy and CeeDee's been healthy, those two have combined for great fantasy numbers. That should still happen because CeeDee gets it done with every quarterback.
Yeah, and remember 2 years ago, in the first 7 games for Dak, he only had 2 good games, and then finishes the quarterback 3 on the season because he was magma.
You mean when I won the title? In
Yeah,
the league of record with him,
Dak, and now you're just you hate him.
It just feels
no
like,
loyalty.
Yeah, it turned your back on
It feels
Dak.
a little bit like the
It's an
Cowboys
attack.
are trying to
An honorless man.
they're trying to run the same thing out there and hope it works this time, but while not paying certain people.
Oh, yeah. No,
Yeah, their team has not
let their
gotten
1,000-yard rusher go.
Their team has not gotten better over the last 3 seasons.
The win total was surprising to me. All right, let's we talked about how they start the season.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think they start the season at? I think 1-3.
Record-wise?
1-3.
Give me the games again.
I'm going to go 2-2.
In Philly.
Yeah.
Home against the Giants.
Okay.
In Chicago, and then against Green Bay at home.
I'll go 2-2.
They start 0-1, go 2-2.
All right, here we go. One more break, and we're talking about the amazing New York Football Giants. Well, they went 3-14. Things are going really backwards for Brian Dable in New York. 9-7 in his first year, then 6-11, now 3-14. Can they get to a winless season? I'm not sure. They lost their last 10
Can
games.
they get to a winless?
Yeah, that's the. Well, you go from 9 to 6 to 3.
Oh, okay. That's fair. I
Right?
see
Yeah.
what you're doing.
I mean, they
If
could
these
do it.
trends
Yeah.
continue.
Technically, maybe they go 16-1. Maybe they could get a tie in there.
Right.
They lost their last 10 games. They traded Daniel Jones away. Drew Lock started 5 games for him. Tommy DeVito started 2. Tim Boyle started or appeared in 3 different games.
Man, those DeVito games, electric.
They were pretty much the worst offensive team in football. 15 total passing touchdowns on the year.
There was one worse, man.
There was one worse team? Yeah.
In points per game, anyways.
By the way, that was 15 passing touchdowns on the year for the second year in a row.
Whew.
So
It's okay. They fixed it.
it's a Russell Wilson led, eventually Jackson Dart led offense going into this season
Unlimited diarrhea.
with an incredibly difficult schedule. By the way, the worst,
That's what?
the hardest schedule in football.
That's just mean.
That is, man, the
including
NFL's
including 6 games against the division mates we just talked about.
Yeah, that's fair.
So nobody's probably on the hot seat more than Brian Dable. Now, if they win the game of Jackson Dart, that draft pick, they'll have a future. They are currently favored in 1 game. 1 game.
Against who?
New Orleans in New Orleans by 1.5
How's that feel?
in
New
week
Orleans?
5. How's that feel, New Orleans?
Saints fans are like, oh, at least they're not going to hate on my team this episode.
Just catching some strays.
Oh,
NFC
man.
East.
I'm so
Brutal.
sorry.
Yeah, they don't have their bye week until week 14 either. So it could be – look, it's tough because we all love Malik Neighbors, the talent, the ability, the fact that he made so much out of so little last year. But, man, it looks rough. It really does. It looks rough in New York. Their defense was bottom third. Their offense was one of the worst in the league. I do like Brian Dable. I do think he's a good coach, but I think I've thought that about a handful of Giants coaches over the years that just it wears on you. You know how the president looks different
Yeah.
from when they start the
Yeah, they aged rapidly.
presidency until then you see Obama after his presidency and he looks about 30 years older.
Uh-huh.
That's about Brian Dable, man.
He's
He's putting the weight back on.
Oh, is he getting?
Yeah, he's
oh,
putting-
he was doing so good.
I mean, he won more games with more weight.
yeah, but I think he wasn't on a diet.
He's
That
been
was pure
shaving-
stress.
He's been shaving
That's
wins right off of his off the scale.
Yeah, I mean, really, from a fantasy standpoint,
Yeah, do that.
We're all excited about Malik Neighbors. You know he's going to get the ball. 30% of every pass is going to go to Malik Neighbors. That's outstanding. When you get the ball in the hands of a player as talented as him, great things happen. Breakaway touchdowns. Fantasy-wise, he's going to be great. Everyone else, like, I love Cam Scatterbo. I know, Mike, you do too. I
Yes,
believe
I do.
he can succeed in the NFL. But can he succeed in the NFL in a committee on a team that is going to maybe be the worst team in the NFL? Probably not.
The odds are
That's
very
not a good
against
situation.
him. Tyrone Tracy he was another day 3 running back, but he had himself a decent year, a decent enough year that I would think Scatterbo has to overtake him.
If you look back at the teams with the worst record and what their running back fantasy points rank was among the rest of the league, last year there were 3 teams tied with the worst record. They were 32nd, 29th, and 25th in total fantasy points to the running back. The year before, 30th. The year before, 31st, 31st, 25th, 29th, 29th.
The math doesn't math for a good player.
No, you're not going to have a lot of fantasy value in this backfield this season.
Well, I guess then ask the question of, is there there is hope. There is at least, I don't know if it's real hope or just manufactured. You have a first-round quarterback that will take over sooner than later. Is there any chance that Jackson Dart comes in and this team is not right 32nd in scoring? All of a sudden you're like, hey, they're low 20s of scoring.
Andy?
Is there any chance?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, honestly, if I was New York, I would not put him on the field this year.
I agree completely.
I would not put him on the
Brian
field.
Dable's going to have no choice.
Yeah, he might not be
around.
the coach. I
He
mean,
could
that's what I'm saying. He's
could
going
be interim.
but week 5
he's
or
going to
6,
have to Hail Mary put the guy in.
Are they going to win at Washington in week 1?
No.
Are they going to win
think
at
so.
Dallas in week 2?
I don't think
Are they going to win against Kansas City and L.A., the Chargers?
Certainly not.
I mean, their first
That's
four,
their opening
their first
schedule?
4 games of the season are like
That's rude.
they're honestly scary enough to be like right now, Malik Neighbors is 9th pick of the draft, wide receiver 6. I like Malik Neighbors. I really do.
Does
do
that go bad?
I do worry about, if I'm having to decide between 2 guys that have really close there, I want some upside. Jackson Dart does not represent some sort of special upside.
Oh, but you know who does? Jameis Winston, baby. I agree with you. Do not put Jackson Dart
Jameis does.
out there
Jameis
this year.
does, yeah.
Why don't you play the long game, Giants, have a couple stupid games with Russell Wilson and be like, oh, this doesn't work. You'll figure that out soon. And then protect Jackson Dart and give fantasy goodness and put in Jameis Winston, and then lo and behold, I will be throwing Darius Slayton into every single lineup I have.
Let's just no one's going to want to hear this, so that's why I'm talking, because you guys can be mad at me.
Yes.
170 targets, okay, for Malik Neighbors.
Last year.
And he had a stretch of games that he played all the snaps in, where his weekly finishes were 43, 38, 29, 30, 26, 29, 26, 12, 32.
Yeah, but they were really fine. I mean, I know those fantasy finishes aren't the number 5, number 6, but that
was 10 points. If I get 10 points a game from a first round pick.
Yeah, I mean, 10.4 fantasy points, 9.4, 11.3, 12.4, not full PPR, half PPR.
He scored.
You're not super excited, but, I mean, he missed 2 games, and he was the wide receiver 7 on the season.
I know. The targets are there. But it's a frightening weekly start.
Let's say Russell Wilson plays the first half of the season. Is that an upgrade or a downgrade from Daniel Jones?
Neutral.
For a fantasy standpoint.
Neutral.
Okay.
Maybe worse.
I think it's worse.
Yeah, it might be worse.
Yeah. I don't know if Russ will hyper target.
Yeah, I don't know if they throw it as much either.
Exactly. I think they will not throw it as much.
So Garrett Wilson's time in the New York Jets has been maligned by fantasy players, and those of us who still support Garrett Wilson, it's tough. You're like, I'm telling you, I promise you, the guy is he is good, but we keep drafting him and we keep failing. Now, I mean, obviously, Neighbors finishes as the wide receiver 7, a 32-point game, which is that's part of the Malik Neighbors experience. Is you can get a bunch of 12s, and then you're going to get some 25, some 32-point games, which not every wide receiver can do that.
He's amazing. He's an amazing player. We have him at 6 and 7.
Yeah,
but I don't think that's. And he's being drafted at what, 6?
Or right.
When you look
around
at
there,
him,
right? Yeah.
let me ask it
6.
this way, because the only thing we're talking about on this team right now is Malik Neighbors. When you look at him and Brian Thomas Jr., and you see both sides of the coin for each player, how do you make that decision?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really tough. Malik Neighbors was obviously drafted
Mike just
ahead
agreed
of him.
that it was hard. He did not answer.
No, because I don't have it.
I know. I know.
My mama told me if I don't have something to say, don't say it.
I feel like if these two gentlemen did exactly what they did their rookie year and were in the exact same position that they are in, okay, everything is 100%. What is real right now, if only one thing changed, which is in the NFL draft, Brian Thomas Jr. was drafted ahead of Malik Neighbors. I think in fantasy drafts, Brian Thomas Jr. would be easily the guy being drafted ahead.
It's weird because it's like, is it unfair to Brian Thomas Jr. that I still believe Malik Neighbors is more talented? Because I think he is. I think Malik Neighbors brings more to the table. Like
I don't think that's unfair.
Like if you were doing the Madden toggles on all the different stats, there'd be more. There's more.
Maxed.
There's more on Neighbors' side.
I would agree with that.
I mean, Brian Thomas played every game,
right,
and ended with 1,282 yards. Malik, missed 2 and ended up with 1,204 yards.
Yep.
But
yeah, it's gonna be rough.
But if I were Brian Thomas, I would be calling my friend Malik Neighbors daily to remind him that I had a better year.
Yep, you would. You
really would. Mike.
And Jason will call you tonight and remind you have the toilet trophy.
I will.
Who wins the division? Give me your order.
The Giants.
We've got the NFC East. We're wrapping up the divisional breakdown.
Who's going to do it?
I will do it.
You'll do it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Philadelphia Eagles, Washington Commanders, Dallas Cowboys, New York Giants.
Yeah, that wasn't what I was saying. I was saying who's going to do it and not do the obvious. I mean, that's.
Well, you didn't use those words. You just said who's going to do it, so I jumped in.
All right.
Yeah, I got my picks in
first.
first.
You put your DAC where your mouth is.
Who's
Well!
And rank the Cowboys a little higher, Jason.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's
who's going to copy
That's
me?
a common expression.
Yeah.
I'm copying
I'll
you.
Copy,
I have your exact same order.
I'm not going to copy you. I'm going to copy Andy.
Oh.
So all that talk and Dallas is still third.
It's a copy of a copy.
I guess all that talk was backing up their fantasy, not their reality.
End up in a multiplicity situation.
I wanted to put the Giants above Dallas, but man, they got the worst schedule in football. I can't do that.
I think Dallas will be.
Dallas has a quarterback.
Just okay.
Dallas
and I think the Giants will be
a
bad.
quarterback. All right, right now the odds are Philly minus 130, Washington plus 205, Dallas plus 550, and the Giants, you could win a lot of money if they win the division. One more division left, the NFC West on Thursday, the Rams, 49ers, Seahawks, and Cardinals. We got mailbag shows coming up. We got another mock draft episode. We've got unsolved mysteries. And we got a few other secret projects we're working on here at Footballers headquarters as well. So
top secret.
Yeah. Not bottom secret.
No, everyone, those are just out there.
All right, that'll do it. UltimateDraftKit.com. Go check that out right now. Make sure you can win on draft day. The community is jointhefoot.com. Shout out to the Foot Clan. Thank you for your support. We'll talk to you next time.
Goodbye.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Fantasy Footballers Podcast. Join our fantasy football community on jointhefoot.com and follow us on Twitter @TheFFBallers.